environment. It's failed overseas. It shouldn't be here in New Zealand. Kia ora.
I call the Honourable Member Nikki Kay.
Mr Speaker, I am very pleased to be standing here and speaking on the first reading of the Education Amendment Bill. I want to acknowledge the Honourable Hekia Parata and the job that she's doing in the education portfolio, and also the Honourable John Banks. Right. This bill is incredibly important for our country because what this bill is about is actually real policy to help some of our most disadvantaged children in this country. Too often we hear the rhetoric that we care about the 1 in 5 children who do not succeed in our education system. The fact is there are many wonderful education professionals in this country doing a great job. However, 1 in 5 children leave our education system not being able to participate in a modern economy, and what this legislation is about is saying that is not good enough. We are prepared to put policies in place that will give parents and students greater choice and greater options for their learning. We have already seen some improvements under our government. At school level, nearly 72% of school leavers achieved at least NCEA Level 2, compared to 66% in 2009. This is part of a wider range of policies that are about greater accountability in terms of our education system. That's why we have national standards. Through national standards, we want to raise literacy and numeracy to ensure that those children in some very disadvantaged communities, that we know where they are, we know how we can better support them, and we can target resource not only from a government perspective but also in terms of their parents. Because when you look at the Manaia Kalani project, when you see how these kids are doing in very disadvantaged communities, it's because their parents are involved in their learning, and it's because they decided to do something different. Partnership schools are about actually recognising that one size does not fit all. And we know, and we hear from the opposition, that this is about putting kids at risk. Well, the greatest risk in this country is to do nothing. And what we believe is that through the design of the partnership schools model, we are developing a model which is in a New Zealand context, which ensures that we are also requiring greater accountability through the sponsorship contracts. There are a range of provisions there in terms of accountability, but there is actually flexibility to go into particularly low decile areas and offer a different type of school for some learners. This is self-selecting as well. I think that's a really important point. The other point that I would say is it has actually been successful. The charter schools model in other countries has been incredibly successful. We've heard recently from Mike Feinberg from the United States, but what we have tried to do in terms of this policy is actually say we need to develop it for a New Zealand context. So I look forward to the Select Committee process as Chair of the Select Committee, and I hope, it is my greatest hope, that the opposition keep an open mind, because the greatest thing that we could do in this country is actually to not continue to do nothing with these children, but to develop another option. The other point that I want to make is that we actually do have varieties of school in this country. We do have single-sex schools, we do have kura kaupapa, so this is just another option for parents in terms of schooling. The other key aspects of this bill that I want to briefly touch on is this bill is about safer environments, so we have a number of provisions in here regarding search and surrender. We also have a national student number which is being recognised within this bill. This is part of our target to ensure that we have 98% of new entrants in ECE participating by 2016. The other aspect of this bill that's very important to mention is school boards of trustees. So we will see through this bill and through guiding this legislation through the House a range of provisions that clarify the primary purpose for school boards to ensure there are very clear expectations. So I think if we step back for a moment, what we are saying on this side of the House through this legislation and through other mechanisms is we believe in greater accountability through mechanisms like national standards, through mechanisms like partnership schools that provide other options for parents. We believe in greater transparency transparency through national standards, through things like partnership schools. But we also, a key aspect of partnership schools that we believe in is that the state does not control the only mandate for the provision of education in this country. There are many community organisations, and the opposition have focused on businesses who may be sponsors, that provide an outstanding have an outstanding role in our community, and we think they should be considered for the provision of education, because we are not going to bring those kids up by saying that we are going to continue to do what we've always done. That's why this legislation is about choice, this legislation is about raising achievement, this legislation is about transparency, it's about greater accountability in terms of our school trustees and their boards, it's about safer environments through the search and surrender provisions. This legislation is incredibly important for those 1 in 5 children in New Zealand who their opportunities have been snuffed out too often because people have not been prepared to try some things differently. Mr. Speaker, I support this bill to the House.
I call